Just as there are functions for manipulating the content of documents inside elements and text, there are also functions for manipulating attributes. So let's take a look at those. Here in my snippets, I've scrolled down to Chapter 3, and this is the Manipulating Attributes section. So go ahead and open up the attributes_start file, and this is where we'll exercise some of this code. So let me go ahead and bring this up in the browser so you can see what the document looks like. All right, so in this particular example, I have a few different images representing a few different scenes. And what I'm going to do is change the attributes associated with each one of these images. So let's go to the snippets, and let's begin by adding a title attribute to all of the images. So we'll copy this, and inside the document ready function, we'll paste that in. So what we're doing here is getting a reference to all of the link tags, the anchor tags, and we're calling the attribute function. The attribute function takes two arguments. The first is the name of the attribute that you want to set the value for, and then the second argument is the value you want to set it to. Now, if I didn't pass the second argument, I could use this to retrieve the value of the first argument here. So if we scroll down a little bit, you'll notice that each one of these images is wrapped inside of a link tag. And you can see that they don't have any titles on them. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'll go to the browser. Now, before I refresh the page, notice how when I hover over each one of these images, there's no little tooltip that's popping up. So now I'm going to refresh. And now, when I hover over the image, you can see that that little photo by some photographer title shows up because I've now added the title attribute to the link. And if we go ahead and inspect this in the developer tools, you can see that as I expand this out, here's the link tag, and you can see now that, in fact, the title attribute has now been added to each one of these guys. All right, let's go back to the code. Let's try something else. Let's make each image open in a new window. So what I'm going to do is copy this line, and I'm going to paste it below this one. And again, let's go back to the document really quick. You'll notice that when I click on the image, it just simply shows a large version of the image. So what I'm going to do is save this code. And in this case, I'm adding a new attribute called target, and I'm setting it to _blank. And that tells the browser to open the image in the new window. So we'll save, and we'll refresh. And now you can see that a new tab is being opened in the browser each time I click the image, rather than opening it in the same window. All right, let's go back to the code. Now let's try something a little bit different. Now we're going to remove the attribute. So in this case, I'm calling remove_attr, which removes an attribute from a given target. So we're going to select all the link tags, and we're going to remove the href. So let's save and refresh. And now you notice my little finger icon no longer shows up, and when I click, nothing happens because I've dynamically removed all the hrefs. All right, let's go back to the code. And one more example. In this case, we're going to modify multiple attributes at the same time. So here's what we're going to do. Let's comment some of these guys out. Now, in the previous examples, I've been passing in the strings that identify the attribute I want to affect. In this case, I'm going to pass in a JavaScript object that contains multiple attributes. So in this case, I'm going to get a reference to the image tags. And all of the image tags, I'm going to set multiple attributes at the same time. I'm going to change all of their source attributes to point to the same image. And I'm going to change the title attributes of all the images to spring all the things. So let's save and let's refresh. And now you can see that all of the images are pointing to the same picture, and the title, Spring All the Things, has been attached to each one. And let's just go ahead and look at the code. You can see, sure enough, I've changed all of the source attributes. The hrefs I have not changed. So if I click, that hasn't changed. But notice how all of the source attributes have changed to Spring, and all of the title attributes have changed to the same content. So that's a quick overview of how you can change attribute values using jQuery functions.